Have you ever wondered why the cabin of an airplane needs to be pressurized? It's all about keeping you comfortable and safe at high altitudes. Picture this. You're climbing up a mountain, and as you go higher, the air gets thinner. You might start to feel lightheaded, maybe even a bit dizzy. That's because there isn't enough oxygen to breathe comfortably, right? Now, when planes fly, they soar at altitudes around 30,000 feet, where the air pressure is much lower than what we experience on the ground. At that height, without pressurization, it would be impossible for us to breathe normally. Your body would struggle to get enough oxygen, and you would feel pretty awful. So, how does pressurization work? Think of the airplane cabin as a big sealed balloon. The aircraft has powerful systems that pump air into the cabin while keeping it contained, creating a pressure that mimics conditions at sea level. This means you can relax, breathe easy, and enjoy your flight, just like you would on the ground. Here's the surprising part. The cabin is usually pressurized to an altitude equivalent to about 6,000 to 8,000 feet. That's a significant difference. This helps strike a balance between comfort and safety. Plus, every time the aircraft climbs or descends, the pressurization system adjusts accordingly, ensuring your experience remains pleasant. In summary, the cabin is pressurized to keep the air breathable and maintain your comfort. It's one of the many ways aviation technology ensures that flying is safe and enjoyable. If you've ever taken a deep breath on a plane and felt at ease, that's because of the effective cabin pressurization at work. Have you ever climbed a mountain and noticed how the air feels thinner as you go higher? That's exactly what happens as a plane climbs. As the aircraft ascends, the air pressure outside drops dramatically. At cruising altitude, which is usually around 30,000 to 40,000 feet, the air pressure can be less than a quarter of what we experience at sea level. This means there's much less oxygen available to breathe. In fact, the air at that height is so thin that if we were up there without pressurization, you would quickly start to feel lightheaded and exhausted. Your body would struggle to get the oxygen it needs, much like trying to breathe at the top of a very tall mountain. Now here's the surprising part. Our bodies are wonderfully adapted to life at sea level, where the pressure is just right. But up high, without cabin pressurization, the situation changes completely. It would be incredibly uncomfortable and potentially dangerous. That's where the cabin pressurization system comes in. It works like a giant pair of lungs for the plane, compressing the air inside so we can all breathe easily, even at these extreme heights. To keep you feeling comfortable, the cabin pressure is maintained at a level similar to what you would experience at about 6,000 to 8,000 feet above sea level. This is still high, but it's much more manageable for our bodies. So next time you fly, remember that the cabin is pressurized to keep you safe and comfortable, making that high-altitude journey a breeze. Curious about what happens if the pressurization fails? Stay tuned. So how do airplanes make sure we stay comfortable up there? The answer lies in cabin pressurization. Just like a sealed soda can keeps the fizz inside, aircraft are equipped with systems that maintain a comfortable cabin pressure. Imagine if you opened a can of soda. That rush of gas you hear? It's the pressure inside escaping into the lower pressure of the outside air. When we fly at high altitudes, the outside air pressure drops dramatically. At cruising altitude, it's less than half of what we experience on the ground. Without pressurization, our bodies would struggle to get enough oxygen, and we'd certainly feel lightheaded or even faint. Here's the surprising part. The cabin pressurization system works by pumping air into the cabin from the engines. As the engines draw in air, they compress it, which increases its pressure. This compressed air is then channeled into the cabin, keeping the pressure at a safe and breathable level, usually equivalent to being at an altitude of around 6,000 to 8,000 feet, instead of the actual cruising altitude of around 30,000 to 40,000 feet. This system not only ensures we can breathe easily, but also helps us feel relaxed during the flight. Think of it like being in a cozy bubble that protects us from the harsh environment outside. So, while we might be soaring high above the clouds, the pressurization keeps us safe, comfortable, and ready to enjoy the journey. And that's why cabin pressurization is such an essential part of flying. Curious about what else keeps us safe in the sky? Stick around. How does the cabin actually get pressurized? Picture this. It's like blowing up a balloon. You need a steady supply of air to keep that balloon inflated. In an airplane, the engines play a crucial role in this process. As the engines work hard, they suck in outside air. But here's the interesting part. At cruising altitude, where the air is thin and less dense, that outside air needs a little help. The engines compress and heat this air before sending it into the cabin. This compression is key because it increases the air pressure, making it denser and more comfortable for us to breathe. Think of it as if you have a straw in your drink. When you suck on the straw, you create a vacuum that pulls liquid up. In a similar way, the engines create a low pressure that pulls in outside air. But remember, it's not just about getting air in. The engines must also compress it. This means squeezing the air into a smaller space, which raises its pressure and temperature. Once the heated, compressed air enters the cabin, it's cooled down to a comfortable level. It's like letting steam escape from a kettle. You want it to be at just the right temperature before enjoying your tea. The cabin air is then circulated throughout the space to ensure everyone has a steady supply of fresh air while you fly. So, in summary, cabin pressurization works by pumping in and compressing air from the engines, similar to how you inflate a balloon. This keeps the cabin cozy and breathable, even when soaring high above the clouds. Isn't it fascinating how it all comes together? Ever wondered what happens if something goes wrong with cabin pressurization? Let's dive into that reassuring topic. Aircraft systems are designed with safety as the top priority. In the incredibly rare event of a malfunction, those bright yellow oxygen masks drop down. This is like having an extra life jacket on a boat. You hope you never need it, but it's there just in case. When the cabin pressure drops, which could happen due to a structural issue or a rapid altitude change, those oxygen masks are your immediate source of breathable air. You simply pull the mask towards you, place it over your nose and mouth, and secure it with the straps. It's designed to deliver oxygen directly, allowing you to stay comfortable and calm. And here's the surprising part. Even with the masks, the aircraft is engineered to descend to a lower altitude quickly, where the air is breathable. This gives you a sense of security. Think about it. Airplanes are built with multiple safety systems, so if one thing fails, others kick in. Moreover, aircraft are subjected to rigorous testing and standards before they ever carry passengers. Engineers simulate various failure scenarios to ensure that everything works seamlessly, kind of like a fire drill that prepares you for emergencies. So if you're ever on a flight and see those masks drop, remember they're there to keep you safe, just like that life jacket. It's all part of the extensive safety measures designed to protect you. Flying is incredibly safe, and understanding these systems can help ease your mind. Curious about more safety features? Stay tuned for our next exploration. So why does the cabin pressurize during your flight? It's all about comfort and safety at high altitudes. When airplanes soar high above the clouds, the outside air pressure drops dramatically. Imagine being up on a mountain. The higher you go, the thinner the air becomes. At cruising altitudes, typically around 30,000 to 40,000 feet, the air is so sparse that you wouldn't get enough oxygen to breathe comfortably. That's where cabin pressurization comes in. Think of the airplane cabin as a cozy bubble. It's like blowing up a balloon. The air inside is kept at a higher pressure compared to the outside. This ensures that you breathe easily and can enjoy your flight without feeling lightheaded. In most planes, the cabin is pressurized to the equivalent of about 8,000 feet above sea level, a height where the air is still breathable and comfortable. Here's the surprising part. This system is incredibly redundant. If something goes wrong, like a sudden loss of pressure, oxygen masks drop down to help you breathe. Pilots are trained to handle these situations, and planes are designed to fly safely even with a cabin failure. The technology involved keeps millions of passengers safe every year, flying millions of miles. So the cabin pressurizes to create a safe and comfortable environment while you're soaring through the skies. Now, the next time you board a plane, you can relax knowing that you're in a carefully controlled space that looks out for your well-being. If you found this interesting, consider subscribing for more aviation insights.